why would you do this to anybody?
What do you think's the answer?
Okay, so money and greed are obviously one. Number two, that I've been talking about since June of last year, there has been a very obvious attempt to try to brainwash all of the American public. Let's just use the correct term. Let's talk about thought reform, which is another word for brainwashing. There has been an attempt, which is very cult-like, this entire last year and a half. Political cults, as defined by Steve Hassan, who's America's #1 cult expert, has written multiple books. In 2013, he wrote a book called Freedom of Mind. Inside of there, he says there's 4 types of cults: religious, political, commercial, and therapeutic. Political cults, in order to be destructive and successful, and we're talking about destructive, he says there's only 2 things that they have to actually achieve in order to be destructive. Number 1, they have to control the media. Number 2, and in bold letters on the page, on page 4 of Freedom of Mind, they have to prevent free assembly. Now, what did they do all year? They prevented people from gathering at churches, bars, restaurants, work, schools. I mean, this was the attempt to do it. Then they kept going to try to create chaos, which is what every cult has to do. They have to restrict your ability to look at other information, which is why they censored the media and continue to actually try to control the narrative, which we are trying to get out to people. But there has been a very large occult or cult attempt to brainwash, seduce, and control the minds of individuals so they cannot think for themselves or reason for themselves, line up to get these shots that, in my mind, I really do know that there is a tyrannical totalitarianism, authoritarianism. There's Hitler-like aspects of this whole pandemic. But I have to say this, when it comes down to me, I do not think all the powers that be can actually slaughter the entire majority of the population of this world. They need them to provide them with money and wealth and power. But there is a great attempt to try to sterilize and infertilize the entire world as a part of population control. That's really the only place I can go with this. It is already proven, even this last week, there's been scientific proof that the spike proteins inside of the shots in the mRNA technology is damaging ovarian tissue. Yeah. It's destructive to placental tissue, which is why you're already seeing hundreds and hundreds of this reported. So I think this is the great big play.
Well, this would fit with Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. The regular listeners of this broadcast know that on my TV show, well over a year ago, I was doing a show on eugenics, the World Health Organization, Johns Hopkins, and showing the connection to the eugenics movement going back decades and decades and decades, all the way back into Great Britain. And all these groups are tied to eugenics, population control. In fact, some of them were talking about procreation tickets. You know, the Huffington Post a year ago, May 2020, was mocking me in an article because I was talking about these folks want to do procreation tickets. And they quoted the article in the article, so I said that. Well, that's how stupid they are over at the Huffington Post. Apparently, they can't watch a TV show, see the slide on the screen where I'm actually quoting someone from years and years ago out of Great Britain, and quoting that he was talking about the need to have procreation tickets. But they wanted to say I was the one predicting that that's what these people wanted. No, I wasn't. I was quoting someone from years ago in the eugenics movement out of Great Britain talking about procreation tickets only for their upper class. They don't